All right. We're back with another episode. But first, the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. I want to give a special thanks to Gallo Technologies for the walls behind us, Rhino Metals for all the tables, and, of course, Blackwater Ammunition for everything that goes bang, and Galco Holsters. I appreciate everything. Can't do it without the sponsors, so I always have to thank them. I appreciate everything that they do to support the show. Today, we got a special guest. Guy I've been trying to get in for a hot minute. He's local now, which is kind of crazy. He's, one of the most inspiring dudes you're ever going to get an opportunity to talk with. I'm really looking forward to my time with him. He's a keynote speaker, entrepreneur, stripper, private dancer. Those are only private dances, though. And one of the most inspiring dudes you'll ever kind of get your arms around, and get to meet. Just super loving, and just everything about him is motivational. It just makes your day a little bit better. We get the one and only Nicky Santonastasso. What's going on, brother?
Oh, man, how you doing?
I'm hanging
Thanks
in
for
there.
having. I like how you call me Nicky.
Yeah, listen.
I like it.
It's the Italian in me. We use shorts. We use shorts.
Yeah.
So, listen, there's so many directions we could go in, and you've told your story 100 times, and it's out there. People know. But, I got to ask, and I want to start right off with this. How the fuck do you wake up every morning with a smile on your face, just pumped to be alive? How does that... How do you get that motivation, and what just flows through your body to be in that space, that headspace every day?
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is it doesn't happen every day, right? And so everyone should be taking a sense of comfort that not everyone wakes up, super positive, motivational, inspirational every single day. But I think the foundation is focus. And the reason why I say that is because I think the majority of people tend to focus on what they don't have, or all their weaknesses, and that's the way that the brain works. Is like our survival brain is designed to focus on your failures, insecurities, your weaknesses, and so your brain isn't really designed to make you happy. That's your job. And so I think for me it's the constant pattern of focusing and appreciating on what I have,
right,
rather than what I don't have. I mean, clearly I can focus on a lot that I don't have.
Sure, of course.
I got no legs, got one arm. I'll never become a professional soccer player, but I tend to focus on my strengths and the things that I do have, and so I wake up and, I got another day. Even the one thing that comes to my mind that not many people know is, April 27th, my brother passed away. And so, just near dear to my heart, I know that, how precious life is in the very present moment is, that I'm here and I'm alive. And even a man with no legs and one arm, there are millions of kids and adults that are confined in wheelchairs and paralyzed or poor that would switch places with me in an instant because they just don't have it like I do.
So true.
So who am I to complain?
Yeah, and no, you sum it up so easily, but you're absolutely right. Why is it you think people focus so much on what they don't have? What's the mechanism?
Yeah, because I don't think they realize that's the way the brain works. And the bottom line is what's wrong in your life is always available. It's always available to focus on, and what's right in your life is always available to focus on. But I think that we like to gain significance by saying I don't have this, and sharing our pity story, and then people around us, depending on your environment, people around us tend to accept your story and validate you, and you get validation from it, and you get that love, and you get that focus. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
That's where I think it comes from. Because your environment, you have two different types of environment. You have an environment where me or you, right? They'd be like, dude, you're being a little girl,
right?
You're bitching, right? Or then you have people that are like, you're right. You should be sad and you should focus. Oh, that's terrible, right? People that reaffirm your story, then people then get validation and they get significance from sharing their same old story.
It's so true. and you boil it down so simply, and I've seen a couple of your videos where you do that. And it's I love when people do that because it really is that simple. Being a guy, I'm from Boston, so we're very short, we say we're to the point, and I love someone that's straight to the point, to the heart of it. This is the fucking problem.
Yeah. This
is what you have to do. Wake up every day, focus on what you have, not what you don't have.
Yeah.
And it's so, I'm at a loss for words because that's normally something that somebody might spend 14 hours trying to explain and 10 phone calls to 10 friends trying to figure out. And it's just be thankful for what you have and be grateful for what what you're doing.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing. I always hound on this whole focus thing is because focus is the foundation. And the reason why I say that is because what you focus on then leads to an emotion. That emotion's either good or bad. And that emotion then leads to an action. Right. And so, I mean, we got a lot of rabbit holes that we can cover today or go down to, but detoxing from the news, detoxing from social media, right? You took a deep breath because it changed your physiology just saying the news. And what people don't also realize is that the news, the media, is designed to put you in a fearful state. When you're in a fearful state, it drastically drops your immune system. But we don't know that. So what are you focusing on? You know, and there's a little, like, for the viewers right now, if you're up for it, we can go through a little focus evaluation. And the question is, right, we did the first one is, do you focus, the majority of your time, do you focus on the things that you have or the things that you don't have? Now, the second question is, do you tend to focus on the things that you can control or the things you can't control? What do you tend to focus on? There's no right or wrong answer.
No, it's 100% what you don't have and the things you can't control.
Yeah, right? And there's a lot of things that we can't control. And so, like, with that second question, I realized that there's a lot of things that we can't control, but I always remind people that it's a good thing I have one finger. The one thing that we can focus on is how we show up, the content that we're consuming on a day-to-day basis, and the people we're surrounding ourselves with. And then the last question is, in your life, do you tend to focus on the past, the present, or the future? And, like, there's no wrong or right answer. It's just an evaluation.
Right. I mean, you'd like to say, like, you focus on the future, right? Like, that'd be the right answer, but you're always
trying to be in present, too.
Yeah. I would say the thing I try to retool my brain and learn the most is to be present. I'm working on really being present, being in the moment. And that's part of the reason why I started the podcast, because when I'm done interviewing 1,000 people, 500 people, you're the 270th person.
Nice.
I would have spent an hour with X amount of people. And I really try to focus on being present in that moment. I don't know how many people, Nikki, in the social media era in this space right now will honestly be able to say I've had 1,000 conversations with people where I was present for that hour and a half with that person. So for me, I would say it's a constant work towards being present, but you are always still a harbinger of your past. Yep. So that's why we go to therapy. That's why we talk things out. That's why these are like therapy sessions. So you're always trying to let go of the things that affected you maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You'd hope that you've let go of some of the things that affected you 15 or 20 years ago, or put them in a box somewhere. But that's just not reality. It's very hard to do, for a lot of people. And a lot of people carry those things around them like weights, or it dragged them around like, an extra layer of clothing they don't need. And it's very hard to shed that skin.
Yeah, and like you said, what it really is everything's a muscle, and that's like how you paint the picture is like using your mind in the right way is a muscle. Gratitude's a muscle. Finding the good in every situation's a muscle. Where you focus on is a muscle. And so, like, for people listening, take a sense of comfort in the fact that, like, the training never stops. The training never stops, and we're constantly training. And for that last question is like we're looking to the future of the things that we want, right? Our ambitions, our goals, our visions. Then we try to exercise the muscle of being in the present moment. That's why I like doing podcasts on my show, because it gives me a chance to shut up and just listen. Exercise my muscle of listening. The power of just really being present and listening to what the person says. And then for those that may go into the past, if you're going into the past for the good, that's great. If you're going into the past for the bad, I want to let people know that your past doesn't define you, right? Because a lot of people are guilty of their past, or they hate their past, or I didn't have the right resources, I didn't have the right environment growing up, but really your actions in this very moment define who you are in the future. And it's the analogy of, like, if you're driving in your car and you're constantly looking in the rearview mirror, what's going to happen? Right. You're going to crash. You're going to crash hard, right? And so, like, for those that are listening right now, your past doesn't define you, but what you do in this very moment does, and that's why we tend to try to focus on the present and the future.
Yeah, what resonated with me was I sat down with a guy who was a really good networker, and I like to networking is obviously clearly important to me. And he said to me once, he goes, be very careful. He goes, first impressions are really important. When you shake someone's hand or you're with someone, make sure that your focus is on them and not who's walking by or who's to the left or who's to the right, because they're going to pick up on that. Yeah. And it's going to make them, it's going to leave an impression with them where you're either going to come off as like slippery or someone that's not readily available and tuned into that moment, even if it's a brief handshake and looking you in the eye and saying, it's good to see you. Like, how are you doing? Those little things go very, very far. And I remember them now when I meet people or when I spend time with people, and it's super important to me. So I always tell people, when you're networking or you're developing relationships or you're trying to even develop a relationship further that you already have, that first 15, 20 seconds is so critical to the next whatever the next 20 minutes might hold. Just looking them in the eyes, shaking their hand, saying, "Hey Nick, it's good to see you. How you been?
Yeah.
Good? You know, all right." Like that's going to stick with you. Like that person gives a fuck about what's going on in my day. And that's something that totally gets glazed over. Families spend entire dinners sitting at the dinner table not asking each other how their day was, how things are going, how they're working, how they're interacting. And I think social media brings out a lot of those bad habits because we're looking for the quick, you know,
stimulation,
quick
man.
tap, you know, double tap.
Yeah, we got the double tap, right? We got so much stimulation, and that's the same thing for like if I'm at an event and I'm doing meet and greets, like I'm drilled into that person with presence because that person's going to remember that. My focus isn't like elsewhere, and I like how you say like people really. They value that, and they remember that. And I feel like everybody's looking for a secret sauce in business, relationships, networks, is like be a genuine human being. Because when you stand out genuine, authentic, and transparent, not only do people feel that, but there's not many people like that. Everybody's trying to portray this perfect life, and life's clearly not perfect, right? And I always say, like, man, dude, people don't relate to perfect. And so that's why, like, dude, I'm an open book. Like when we sat down here, like we can talk about anything. And the reason why I'm like that is because I know that I'll share dark stories, shitty stories, negative stories, because I know it has the potential to relate to someone. Not only that, but people will see themselves in me. They'll see themselves in you. And that deepens the connection with the people that are viewing.
And you have to be well adjusted to be able to do that. And that's a part of therapy.
With yourself,
and that's,
right?
with yourself.
Yeah,
you have to be very well adjusted.
Comfortable with yourself.
You know, we have mutual friends that are very open, getting out there and talking about everything that's gone on in their past. And there are people that aren't willing to do that. That's not to say everybody has to be an open book about everything. There might be things that happen to you that you're just not ready to approach publicly, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. You have to file that away and say, I'm just not prepared to go there yet. I'm dealing with some emotion on that.
Yeah.
I had Cody Stamen, the UFC fighter, in the other day. His brother passed away prior to 250. I said, I'm going to bring it up as long as you're okay with it. He goes, of course, man, you know, and I said, yeah, we could talk about it. We don't have to get deep into it, but if you're not ready, you're not ready, and that's an okay thing, but you just have to know that it's there, and when the time comes, be at least willing to have a conversation. But sometimes maybe you don't address things in therapy, you don't address things privately with friends, you're just not ready to go there yet in its entirety.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Agreed. And I think as in therapy, like, one of the things that is looked over or not valued is like the simple act of like journaling, or the simple act of just writing down how you feel at the end of the day. It's like your own personal therapist, because you get it out of your head and onto the paper, and then you kind of clear the clutter. And so I think like journaling and writing things down is extremely important if you don't have a therapist, or if you don't go to a therapist. And just communicating,
reflecting.
Yeah. Well, humans don't reflect enough. I think we can all agree, especially the achievers, the go. Like we achieve something, and then we're like, I could have done it sexier. I could have done it more efficient. I could have done it faster, instead of just simply celebrating the wins, right?
Yeah, because we still have that primal monkey brain that we want to like always go on to the next thing. We have that like. You know, most guys in most situations still have that primal urge to conquer, right? That's the primal urge, whatever it is, whether it's women, money, life. And it's hard to you don't ever want to dull that flame, but you have to control it and understand where it fits in the pecking order. That's why you see a lot of people that are unhappy, as we talked about, because they'll find happiness and then they go down what we call a self-destructive path.
Okay.
Or they start not self-harm in the sense of physical, but like almost self-destructing
like
themselves.
Mental sabotage.
Yeah, mental sabotage. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to avoid. I was actually reading a lot about that before you came in, and a little bit last night, because I see so many people, we've seen it too, just the fitness community is riddled with it, but in the gun community too, that people just kind of self-sabotage for whatever reason, whether it's they're in a good marriage, or in a good situation, their life's set up right, or whatever it is, and they just find a way to self-destruct, so.
Why do you think that is?
It's a hard one. I think for everybody it's different. I think a small component of it is that willingness to always want to conquer, and the thing is, I think the two biggest things people can work on, so I have these beliefs and I want to run them by you because you're the wizard at this. You are. So I believe you can control two things in life: your loyalty and what time you show up to work. That's it.
Okay.
That's all you can control in life. Everything else is going to be arbitrary. It's going to shift. It's going to change. It's going to, it's going to be affected by other things. But you can be loyal. You can be a good, loyal friend, good support system, and you can be present and on time for whatever it is that you're doing. if you don't have those things, to me, it says a lot to you about as a person. You know, you show up on time. Do you make all the effort? And I think in life, people self-sabotage, or they reach a point of self-sabotaging themselves because they don't know how to file away attention. They don't know how to handle attention. They don't know how to handle things that are bestowed upon them. So whether that's money, whether that's double taps, whether that's, you know, likes, views, whatever it is in life that comes your way. And we all don't necessarily know how to handle it. Some guys, they go off and they participate in war, or they're overseas and they come back and they can't handle being back in the real world. Some people are in law enforcement for 20 years. They can't handle the job. And a lot of that's because they don't necessarily know where the outlets are to kind of talk through that or handle those moments. And I think people tend to self-sabotage because maybe they don't think they're worth it. They don't think they necessarily deserve it. They don't understand how to file away that's not real life. Real life is this, having a conversation, having an interaction, and learning from it. And I said this to someone the other day. One thing I've learned from the show is being able to have an adult conversation and being able to maybe disagree, and we don't have to fight. We don't have to argue.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
It's been a massive topic.
Massive.
It's
huge.
just like if we could just learn this one skill. Agree to disagree, then like we wouldn't have all this fighting
half
going
the problems we have.
And I love what you said, and I want to piggyback off it if it's okay.
Of course.
You said the two things that we can control are loyalty and showing up on time for work, right? And you said being loyalty to friends, you know, business partners, whatever it may be.
Religion, whatever.
The most person you should be loyal to is who? Yourself?
Well, yourself first.
That's because you touched on self-worth. That's one of the biggest patterns I've seen working with people is people struggle with self-worth. Now, self-worth then translates in am I worthy of the weight loss? Am I worthy of the relationships? Am I worthy of the success? Am I worthy of being in the same room as these people? You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. People have so many different ways of self-worth. We all struggle with it. And that comes down to, I like how you use loyalty towards yourself. And so confidence equals self-integrity. And so how we build confidence is we do what we say we're going to do. So like, I'm guilty of it, you're guilty of it. We say we're going to do something, we don't do it. But the underlying issue is, every time that we commit to something and we don't follow through, we diminish ourselves. And so it's like, John, let's meet at Chipotle at 6 p.m. And you're like, awesome. And I don't show up. You're like, okay, well, maybe it was like a mishap. Maybe
you're always a lot of bogey.
Yeah, maybe he's kind of unreliable. How many times for me not showing up would it take you to realize that I'm unreliable? That's the same relationship you have within yourself. Every time that you say you're going to do something, I'm going to work out 5 of the 7 days, or I'm going to wake up 30 minutes earlier, and you don't, you may not feel it in the moment, but you literally just diminish the relationship you have within yourself. And we were talking about validation, right? Is so many people are seeking validation from external when the only person you should be seeking validation from first is internal, right? You got to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't receive love from others. If you're not confident in yourself, you can't portray, you know? So I love how you put it down to loyalty, and I just wanted to flip it on its head and say, yeah, loyalty towards yourself is most important.
The gym thing's a funny one you bring up because people ask me, we get asked this all the time, and I know you do. How do I start? Where do I start? What do I do? That's like the most, you know, we constantly are dealing with that. We're constantly being asked, I want to train. I want to get in shape. Where do I start? I tell people all the time, go 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Go 2 days a week. And they're like, what do you mean?
Start.
I'm like, just start. I'm like, start out with a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. They're like, well, what should I do for a workout? I go, do upper body and lower body. I go, actually, it doesn't even matter. Just show up, run the key card, and do something.
Yeah. And if you're Nick, skip leg day.
Yeah. And then in 3 weeks, come back to me if you've done that for 3 weeks steady, and we'll talk.
Yeah.
Maybe add a third day. But don't start 5 days a week because you'll quit by Wednesday.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Agreed. Because
they overwhelm themselves. And I think that's if I was to ask you a deeper question, I think that's a byproduct of the influence of social media, because people look and they see the big house, the big car, the person with the $10,000 equipment or whatever it is that's fancy, and they think, I got to have that tomorrow. And you can't get that tomorrow. You have to work to that. You have to work to that. You're seeing D. You might be at A.
Like the tip of the glacier.
Tip of the glacier.
Right?
Dude, totally.
That's when I started fitness. The reason why I started fitness, I was before I was a zombie pranker. I don't know if you knew that.
I heard that. We can get into that.
Yeah, so I was a wrestler in at least your face. I was a wrestler my senior year, my junior and senior year. We can get into that too. But the app Vine came out. And I knew what it felt like to be unconfident, uncomfortable in my skin, and I wanted to create a way where I can inspire people, make them laugh. And I wanted to do something that has never been done before. And so I said to my friends, I said, how many legless guys do you see crawling around Walmart pretending to be a zombie? And they said, no one. And I said, it's a great idea. So I put fake blood on my face, and I put fake blood on my clothes.
Yeah, I think I've seen one of these clips. Yeah.
And so I set out and I did these zombie pranks, and I gained 1 million followers on Vine and got to do really amazing things. And then I ran into the issue that it didn't fulfill me. It didn't really make me feel good on the inside the way I wanted to. And so I moved to LA. I went broke. We can dive into that if you want. I moved to LA, went broke, moved back into my parents in Jersey, and I recalibrated. And I was like, what's next? And I was like, well, if I become a bodybuilder, there's no guy with no legs or one arm becoming a bodybuilder. I can monetize it, and people can't underplay me. And when I say underplay me, they can't say, well, Nick, it's easy for you to become a bodybuilder. You have no legs and one arm. Like said no one ever, right? And so I did that. I totally forgot where I was even going with the story. But the bodybuilding, I don't even know where I was going with it.
You were starting to get into, where the rabbit holes people can go down and the different paths.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, thanks. And so when I started bodybuilding, I was like, this doesn't happen overnight. And so I'm trying to tell my parents, I'm like, I'm going to become a bodybuilder and a fitness model. You're
not going to be Arnold right away.
Yeah, right? And no one will ever be Arnold. But it took me like a year and a half, 2 years to gain traction and like have people follow my videos. And I remember, dude, I was paying Instagram bodybuilding like $400 a post to post me so I can get some traction because I was just like, didn't know what I was doing, just lifting weights. People like, dude, what are you doing? I love you for your pranks. But bodybuilding was like a long game. And I always had that vision in mind. And so going back to like why people quit or why they don't, I think the question is they don't really know why.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to be in shape? And then why is a very powerful question because that can go deeper and deeper. Do you want to lose weight so you can see your kids get married? Do you want to lose weight so you feel better when you look into the mirror? Do you want to lose weight to better the relationship with yourself? Do you want to lose weight because you want to help others lose weight? Like, why do you want to do it? And that's the thing. I think a lot of people, the majority are like going through the motions. Like, how many times have we gone through the motions a month, a year, 2 years? We're like, whoa, time just flies. And haven't reflected on like, why do I get up every day?
Right.
Like, why do I really do what I do? Because I think once you discover your why, that's like your ultimate driving force. And we all have shit that we don't want to do on a day-to-day basis.
100%.
And so like if you can reflect on like your why, like my biggest why is like I dialed it down to I want to give my parents a life like they gave me. Like I want to give my parents experiences like they gave me. Like next month, in a month, I'm taking my dad to Alaska for like a salmon fishing trip.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, Dad, where do you want to go? He's like, Alaska. I'm like, let's go to Alaska. Okay, let's do it. And so I get off by giving people experiences and being able to spoil them. Like I want money for me, but I really want money to like give people things.
Yeah, I think people don't feel fulfilled. I want to come back to that because
fulfillment, massive.
The fulfillment thing is massive. I think they don't feel fulfilled because they look at, for example, the bill that comes in the mail. You get a bill in the mail, and they have to pay that bill. And the only fulfillment they have in life is, I got to go work because I got to pay that bill. So their focus is on A and B, A and B, A and B constantly. It's never A, B to C. And if you don't have, whether we call it like a side hustle, something that, if you can do what you hate, right, as a means to an end, like, hey, I'm working at a car wash.
Years.
Yeah, for years. You can do what you hate. And you can just say in your head, chalk it up as this is a means to an end. I'm kind of doing this for now. It pays the bills. But if you don't start whatever C is, you're never going to get to D or E.
Yeah.
So you have to at least start to have something going. We were sitting talking about this, all of us here. Right now, there's never been, Nikki, more of an opportunity for people to make money literally sitting in front of a fucking computer than there is right now. There's never been more of an opportunity. You can literally sit there. We can get into OnlyFans. We can get into so much shit.
That's the first thing I was going to say.
But I know people that are making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month literally sitting in front of a computer. And there's people that sit around and they complain. They're like, oh, it's so tough out there. It's so hard. I'm like, I know people literally that haven't left their kitchen that are making hundreds of thousands. They haven't left the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's so available.
It's a pivot.
Yeah.
I agree. It's funny. We were talking to each other mentally about the OnlyFans because I'm like, girls be like pivoting.
I want to die and come back as a girl.
And just do OnlyFans.
100%.
Yeah, whatever it takes, right?
100%. I would die and come back as a girl. 100%.
They're shaking their head.
Yeah, I'm not saying I would do like the nude crazy pictures or anything, but I would 100% die and come back as a woman.
And yeah, we can get into that too. I'm doing the same thing, not becoming a woman. I'm saying like during this time of pivoting, like my company is live events. Mm-hmm. My company was live events, and I'll get into this because it's a really good lesson. For 3.5 years, we've been building this speaking company, right? Scaled it to 6 figures, almost 7 figures, and I didn't have any digital side, didn't have a back end, didn't have products, ascension ladder, values, any of that. And so,
E-com.
So Corona, whatever you want to call it, really, I can't travel, right? So live events are down, and this gave me a massive opportunity to like slow down because I wasn't slowing down. I was a road warrior.
Yeah, you were going crazy.
I was road warrior, traveling 90% of the year. I'm making money. I'm impacting lives. I'm not slowing down. And so this gave me a time to slow down and focus on the things that were massive holes in my business. Now when the wave passes, which it will, I have both sides. I have the live events and then have the products.
The back end.
Yeah, the back end. The massive, right? And that's massive because with speaking, I realized that when I'm on stage and I'm just getting paid, I'm trading my time for money.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, and that's the worst. You can't scale it. That's the worst trade. I just had this conversation. Anytime you're trading an hour for $12, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And you're going to be miserable.
Yeah. So trading your time for money. Now, hourly, I will never get paid as much as I do speaking. An hour. For 1 hour, I'll never get paid that in an hour. But on the scaling side, the leverage time, like you said, the products and the value ladder on the back end. And so I'm creating it in such a way, me and my team, where when the live event space comes back, if I don't ever want to touch a live event, I don't have to. I can coach from my computer. I can do my calls. I could be in Vegas. I could be in Bali. I could be in Thailand and still impact people and have this residual income. And so, like you said, I think now is such an incredible time because, to be honest, this may sound harsh, but it's like either sink or swim. And I'm not taking away from the seriousness of any situation. People getting laid off, businesses getting.
Oh yeah, there's a season for everything.
Yeah.
Like you got to go through the season of like dealing with that, but you also have to have a plan to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
And as you start to formulate that plan of picking up the pieces, that's when it'll play out in front of you.
Yeah.
But it's very powerful. I was talking about this with my crew here. It's like you could build. Like you're in here, like this is kind of like Disneyland for media, at least in my space, right? And especially when I build out the Soarin' X, like the gym, you could do photos in here, you could do videos in here, you could do 100 things in here. I know how your mind works. You're looking around, I could do a video there, I could do a video there, content, right? I could put a jumpy house in here and build Disneyland for doing videos, and I'd be like, the door's open, come on in. And there'd still be people that are like,
Oh, not seize it.
Not seize
the opportunity.
Not seize them. Man. Like what the fuck? Like what do you have to do, right? Like what is it you have to do? How do you trigger that in people? And at the end of the day, it all becomes work at some point, but you can enjoy your work. And you're exactly right. This is a great opportunity to take a look and take stock of everything. Like obviously because of COVID, I've had to do a lot of interviews via phone.
Yep.
So you can't get everybody in. People don't want to fly. There's that. And, getting people to travel's hard. So you do some stuff over the phone. But you still can make it work. We have enough technology, whether it's through Skype, Zoom, cell phones, whatever. You can make it work and still put it together. I did 61 podcasts in 64 days at the start of COVID.
That's badass.
Because I just was like, there's no reason to not.
Yeah.
Hey, you got an hour to spare on the phone? Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's run it. And like worst comes to worst, you can always invite them in later and do a face-to-face, but you have to do the workaround, whatever the workaround is. Now, granted, I'm in an advantageous position because I'm in Vegas. Everybody comes to Vegas at some point.
That's why I moved.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place because everything's here, especially for what you do in speaking engagements. At some point, every show comes here, every event comes here. But is it harsh in me saying I just think there's no excuse?
No.
Is it wrong?
No.
Is the delivery off?
No. See, we're talking about seizing opportunity, and this is extremely important. This goes back to focus. So if you're focused on all the crap in your life, if you're focused on all the negative in life, first off, would you agree that there's opportunities all around us?
100%.
And would you agree that if we're focused on the wrong thing, we're not going to see the opportunity that's right in our face?
More now than ever.
Exactly. And so that's the power of focus. Like if you're focused on your goals, your ambitions, and your visions. Ladies, have you ever wanted this dress so bad or this certain thing, right, and you finally got that dress and you saw other ladies have that same dress? Has that ever happened to you? Or if you don't like dresses, I don't wear dresses. But if you like cars, I like cars.
Only on Tuesdays.
Yeah. If you like cars, have you ever wanted this car so bad and that was the only car you saw on the road? Why is that? It's called your reticular activating system. And what that is what you focus on, you will see more of, you will hear more of, and you will tap into. Right? So if we were focused on real estate, right? If me and you were just dialed in and we had this real estate plan and me and you were in Starbucks or somewhere, and someone having a real estate conversation way over there that you would never hear, just because we're focused on real estate, you would pick it up. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you're focused on the shit, if you're focused on the negative, if you're focused, I don't have any opportunities, there's so many opportunities all around us, but you won't be inclined to see the networks, the resources, and the opportunities to help you get to the next level because your focus is off.
So true. It's powerful too. But you have to continue. Now, all this stuff being great, how do you condition yourself to day in and day out have that same mindset and that delivery? Because it's great to have that mindset on Monday. How do you still have it on Friday?
Yeah. I think our brain's like a computer. So we ask a question, we get an answer. You ask a shitty question, what kind of answer you get?
A shitty answer.
You ask a better question, you get a better
answer.
answer, right? And so some of the questions that I ask myself, and this is something that we can train over and over again, but and it's hard to do it, but when you find yourself in a problem or an obstacle or a challenge, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Because there's a great quote by Nelson Mandela that I live by. He says, in life I don't lose, I only win or learn. But you have to train your brain to win or learn, right? And so the quality of your life comes down to the quality of the questions you ask yourself on a day-to-day basis. What can I learn from this situation? What's funny about this situation? How can I provide value to ask a better question. And so I think we just need to ask ourselves better question. Just like I have a mantra or a question I say, if I'm feeling really low, I ask myself, Nick, how can I appreciate the gift I am to myself and others in this very moment? By me asking that question, that allows my brain to focus on all my good, all my greatness, all the love, all the compassion, all the serving, all the impact. The question allows you to focus on
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So ask a better question. But it's a muscle. And I want to let people know I'm not perfect. You're not perfect.
No.
We're all struggling in our own unique ways and in our own similar ways. But the training never stops, and that's why I'm a student of the game. I'm only 24. And so, like, one of my core values is being a student of the game. And when I'm a student of the game, that realizes that I push my ego way over there, and I listen to everything with an open mind. I'll listen to everything with an open mind. If you say something I don't like, okay, I don't like it. But if you say something I do like, I'm going to ride with it. But I listen to everything with an open mind.
And that comes back to another skill, which is just being able to have a structured adult conversation, as I said earlier. Just being able to take a step back. Like, a lot of people can't do that. That's a maturity thing. Like, when I was 17, 18 to probably 24, I don't think I could have a structured adult conversation, right? You know what I mean? So you learn that, you know, in time, and that's through interacting with different people and understanding, you know, what people are going to respond to and how they'll respond and how they'll receive information. Now, I like to think I learned it a little bit younger because I was a good networker and I was a good developer of relationships, and I understood that you have to give more than you take, especially in the beginning, tons and tons and tons, because over time, people, you know, like I told you, how you interact with somebody the first 20 seconds is going to set the stage for the next 20 hours of interactions. Yeah. So you have to treat that first 20 seconds with everybody as if they're the only person in the room, and they're going to remember that for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And it'll go for miles. But I think for the most part, conditioning yourself to maintain that mindset over time continuously is the real skill. Because I can pep talk up the entire room, but if they forget it in an hour, it's meaningless.
Yep.
And you or I don't have the bandwidth to constantly give someone that. It's too much.
Yeah.
Because I always explain it to people. Your bandwidth is like an energy bar. And I love that term, and I'll always come back to it with people, because think of like Street Fighter. When you had the energy bar, you just only have so much. Yeah. And the only way to replenish it is if you do your own self-analysis, your own self-worth study, your own digging deep into your soul and figuring out where you are. Because you have to be in a good place before you're dispensing information. And it's like I try to explain to people all the time. Before I do a show, a lot of times, like, I'm trying to clear my head, keep my head right all the time. I'm like, you know, I almost like sometimes want everybody to stay away from me, or I start talking through topics like we were before. Like, you know, you came in, I'll start like talking through stuff, and I'll have an idea of where the show will go. But I usually don't like to talk to the guests much before a show because I like to do it on like this.
Yeah, just right in.
Because it's fresh.
Yeah. And I love that energy bandwidth thing. It's like the analogy for my life is like I'm a lantern, and I'm always trying to give light to people in darkness. But if I don't fill myself up with the very things I enjoy, I can only give so much light. And we often forget that as humans, especially like females, in the way they're so nurturing and so caring. Ladies, you probably do a lot of caring for other people, and then trying to probably forget about the care about yourself a little bit. And it might, and doing some self-care, whether that's meditation, a pedicure, whatever it may be, but we're always trying to serve others, but you can only give so much love if you don't, fill yourself up. And so you got to fill yourself up with the very things that you enjoy to do, that self-care, that self-worth, so you can give as much as you can to other people. But I agree.
A lot of it will come in small snippets with time, with maturity on its own, but it's maintaining it as the real skill. Like this is a bad example. A lot of people dream of winning a Super Bowl, but Tom Brady goes out and wins 10 million of them. You know what I mean? 7, 10, whatever. To him, it's not a number. It's like Michael Jordan. It's like, it's there's no number behind it.
Yeah.
It's just like we want to win every year, all the time, every time we are on the court or on the field. That's powerful. That's the most powerful thing. So being able to win every day, and you never win every day. Out of 365 days, you hope to maybe win 250 of them. There's going to be 100 that are going to be really rough days in there if you're a winner.
Yeah. And do you learn more from your wins or your losses?
Losses all the time. All the time. In the beginning, you're going to actually lose more. You're going to lose 300 out of whatever amount of days, in the year. You're going to lose 275 out of 365. You're going to always lose a larger chunk. But like you said, it's asking yourself the question, what did I learn from that day? And what did I pick up on that day? And what did I take away from that day? And what's the reality?
Yeah. Extracting the good out of every situation. I think that's the muscle is, like you said, what can I learn from this? And that really, going back to your relationship, how I said, do you win more from your losses or your wins, right? We say losses. I think people have a bad relationship with failure. I think that failure is a friend. Like for me, failure is a friend. Failure is someone I watch Netflix with. I cuddle failure because I know on the other side of failure, massive personal growth is going to be taking place. But if you're someone you're programmed. If someone was afraid of failure or doesn't want to fail, then you'll never grow. You'll run away from uncomfortable situations. You'll run away from the very things that are going to allow you to grow. And so we can really evaluate our relationship with failure and see, is it a friend or is it a foe?
Do you think failure is the toughest thing to overcome for people? Or is it self-doubt?
Ooh. That's a great question. Failure or self-doubt? I'd say self-doubt. I'd say self-doubt because it's 24/7. If you have that always little voice in your head that's like, you're not good enough, you're not tall enough, you don't have the limbs.
I say the self-doubt.
That's your self-doubt voice, right? That's your self-doubt voice.
I'd say failure inflicts the self-doubt.
Yeah.
So I'd say
compound.
Like I was having this conversation earlier, and I'm laughing because Marcy just whacked her head. I was having this conversation earlier with Audrey, and I said I go into every day expecting to fail. And I don't believe in the throw shit against the wall. There's certain things like you got to measure twice and cut once.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of go into it like, I'm going to drink this Monster. I'm probably going to get acid reflux, but I'm going to get like a nice high from it. And so what? I'm kind of dealing with it. Like there's going to be all these little give and takes and setbacks and everything else, and you kind of have to know it. I know I'm not getting any younger. I know there's not a lot of 50-year-old trainers out there. I know 60-year-old trainers out there. I know trading time for money is not good. I know that all these things, yet we still do them. We still have them happen to us. We still have them play out. But you have to know going into the day, okay, this is going to get me to B, or this is going to get me through the end of the day. And you have to handle, like you almost have to know it's coming. It's like a chess game. Like I know if I move this piece here, I'm going to lose this piece, but it's going to open up this move later. So when you start playing chess and not checkers, you can start to mitigate the failures, and you start to learn to manage the failures, and everybody starts to become almost like an insurance guy. Like it's like you're managing the losses. And somebody told me something powerful in business. They said, every move I make now, there's always, say, 3 or 4 scenarios. I try to always win in a majority of them. Anytime I look at a scenario. So whether it's a sponsorship opportunity, whether it's a gig, whether it's everything, I try to look at it as like, I'm going to win in 2 out of 3 of these scenarios.
Yeah.
And you can boil that down to anything. It can be something where you're doing a speaking engagement. Maybe it's not the money you want, but you're like, you know what? I'm getting the exposure I want. I'm getting an audience, and my photographer's available and my video person so I can get the content.
Yeah.
So I'm winning in 2 out of 3.
And it fills me up to be on stage, right?
Yep.
It fires me up. I love that. And also, I think when problems or challenges occur, people think they did something wrong. But what if you view it as like every time that a problem or obstacle comes, it's your signal that you're going in the right direction. Because if you're sitting on the sideline, you're going to have no obstacles or challenges or problems. But if you're in the trenches and you're playing and you're in the field and you're pursuing something, that's when real problems are going to come. So maybe we are able to adopt the thinking of like, okay, the next time I see a problem or an obstacle or a challenge, this is my indicator or my signal that I am moving towards something.
Right.
Because something popped up.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, I think, and this brings into a question you brought up earlier that I want to come back to. When we talk about scaling and monetizing, I think one of the biggest struggles is people don't spend enough time, especially in the social media space or in the era we're going in now, understanding how they can monetize whatever the situation that they're in is. So you can be an out of work right now, blackjack dealer or whatever. We're in Vegas, right? So
I like blackjack.
Yeah. So I like blackjack, but I
lose, but I like it.
This is going to sound dumb because it's the worst game to play. I like roulette too.
Okay, yeah.
I like craps because of the action.
Okay.
Craps is the best action in the casino, but the worst odds. They both have the worst fucking odds. Blackjack's the best odds if you know what you're doing a little bit. But, you can monetize almost anything that you're doing, when you're doing it, whether it's you're an out-of-work blackjack dealer and maybe you want to do Zoom videos or whatever. But I think for the most part, people, whether it's they talk themselves out of it or they talk themselves, into not doing it, which is also powerful too. They don't fully, like you said, see the big picture to understand how do I monetize whatever it is that I'm doing. Like you can look, like this better than anybody. Being a personal trainer, you're not going to be able to monetize that over the long haul because you're trading time for money.
Yep.
Being a coach almost always never results in riches, right? Coaching anything. Can it fill your bucket? Yes. But you have to understand where you have to draw a line. Like I was having a conversation with a guy, he's a pretty famous actor. I said, how did you know you made it? When did you know it was like the moment? And he said, the moment I stopped working for free. So it just, that alone was a powerful statement. He goes, I drew a line in the sand. I wasn't going to do extra work for free. I wasn't going to be, and he ended up becoming a pretty big, not big, but decent actor. And, that was a powerful statement in itself. You have to draw a line in the sand. I'm willing to trade this for this. Whether that's filling the bucket, whether it's getting from A to B, but I'm not willing to trade this for that.
Yeah, agree.
And I think in social media, in the era we're in, and everything that everybody's going through, trying to sort through how to monetize things, which is what you brought up earlier, and how to scale things, people don't understand the difference between opportunity, free work, what they're going to get out of it, what they should get out of it, and how to analyze those things. And that's tough. And you do it you're doing it constantly. I know I'm doing it constantly. And that's the behind the scenes people don't see, like the unsexy
the ugly
side of it, the ugly side of it.
Yeah.
People don't see that. Like half the time I'm on the phone talking to sponsors or brands that I'm working with or brands that I'm putting on the show because that's what keeps the fuel going and understanding where those puzzle pieces fit and how to take care of those brands. And I know you're constantly doing the same thing and how do I squeeze more out of the back end and how do I get more out of this? But people don't understand that you have to do a lot of looking at that and study where you are and understand, hey, working at a gas station is not going to be the end. But I have to plug in that means to
I got to do it for now.
I got to do it for now.
Right? And also, I think stamina is massively important. And like stamina in business. And what I mean by that is I think we get everything so fast, as in like we can Uber Eats food and it'll be here in a couple minutes. We can get our favorite shows on Netflix. We can FaceTime each other immediately. We get immediate results or immediate satisfaction. And then we build a business and we're not successful in a year, 2 years, and people get pissed off.
It's not real. Yeah, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real. Like I'll put it into perspective in podcasting. We both know this. It took Joe Rogan 1,400 episodes to do a $100 million deal.
Yeah, they just see the 100 million.
Yeah, 1,400. In the first 600 weren't great. They were like in his house and call. You remember they were like webcam. There's a lot of screw ups along the way. People only see, like you said, the tip of the iceberg. So it's hard to get people to understand. What the thing I struggle with is how to get people who are doing the for now to understand that the for now doesn't have to be permanent, but you have to take the steps to go beyond the for now.
Yeah, agreed.
That's a seminar in and of itself that you could teach.
Yeah, I think the skill is, which is probably the most massively important skill that I have is modeling and analyzing the people who have the results you want. Right? Like I'm not going to. This may sound harsh, but I'm not going to sign up for a coach that's out of shape.
100%.
Right? So model those who have the results you want. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to make it smoother. So who's in your industry? Who's in your business? Who's doing what you want? Who has the results you want? read their books, find their videos,
deconstruct it,
analyze, buy their product, go through what are they offering, go through the newsletter, everything. I mean, like, that's what I do. It's like, who's successful? Let me go to the websites. What are they doing with their websites? What are they doing with their newsletter? What does their sales funnel look like? I'm analyzing my competitors in like not a stalking way, but I want to see what you're doing right, and I want to see what you're doing wrong. And what that's going to do is that's going to condense decades into years. You've already done the work. The work's already been done out there. So let me see what you did right. Let me see what you did wrong, and let me expedite the process.
Is it harder for you because you're in a space no one's really in? Like, who do you look at? Like,
no one's in the space of no legs and one arm.
Yeah,
but
it's
people
like you're
in
in
this, people are in the space of peak performance expert. People in the space of speaking companies, coaching, scaling, that stuff, and they're in the space. So I find people and I model them. The only other guy, this guy Nick Vujicic, he has no arms or legs, and he's an Australian. He's like an OG in this space. He's like 37. I'm 24. He's got a lot of years on me.
He's the OG.
Yeah, he's an OG. So he's the original Nick, and I'm like the
2.0.
Yeah, the sexier version.
The sexier
Sorry, Nick.
version.
I hope you don't see this.
That's
Send in
funny.
love. Send in love.
Send in love. It's true, though. You have to deconstruct what you see other people doing. Like, I was explaining this to somebody the other day when I was on the phone with them. They're like, why podcasting? And I said, because I looked at it and it was an incredibly weak space in the areas that I was in the defense industry. And I look at my podcast as, the defense industry meets fitness. Like, I look at your whole body as a defense mechanism, right?
Yep.
You lift weights to be stronger. You train MMA to be stronger, to more physical and be able to defend yourself, more capable. The term I like to use is just be a capable person.
You got better chances.
Better chances at everything you do, right? So I just think that there's something empowering about all of those things, and they're all tied together in a way, whether it's action sports, everything, adrenaline, all those different things are all tied together, and people love those things. They all kind of walk in the same path. And I think you have to look at, who's in your space, who's doing what you're doing. Are they doing it successfully? Is it a crowded space? Some spaces are really crowded.
Yeah.
Like fitness, we know.
Supplements.
Fitness is so crowded, so full. Every day there's a new guy with abs. There's a new chick in a bikini. There's a new everything. So that's like an insanely crowded space. Like you might have 1 or 2 years of peak. You know what I mean? Jay went down as one of the best bodybuilders that ever walked the planet. He won 4 Olympias. You know what I mean? 10 years ago. It's like, and that's an insanely crowded space because every year they're announcing or sending a new king or queen or whoever it is in that space. So it's very hard to win. And now the struggle they go through is some of those people winning don't even have sponsorship deals and don't even have deals because they're not out there, or they don't understand social media, or they haven't deconstructed or accepted it. Yeah. It's been a hard hurdle for them to kind of climb over. So you have to, and I was on the phone with another guy, I'll plug him, Profitable Podcasting, and Steven, he was like, asking questions like you are to me, and he was saying, well, what about this and what about that? And he said, John, you're already in like the top 5% of people doing what you're doing because you've already monetized it. You've already got it in its own place. You've got it to another level. You have to start to think now, how do I back end this? What other things can I add on to this? And I just don't think that enough people understand the work that goes in behind the scenes to make all those things happen and how much time they actually have to spend obsessing over the things you said, which is, let me look at this person or that person that's a SME, a subject matter expert in that area, and deconstruct it.
Yeah, because you don't have to have all the knowledge. You can become a knowledge broker, and then that's what you just like surround yourself with people that are doing what you do and extract their knowledge, and then you teach it. Because I don't know everything, but I got great mentors that do.
Yeah.
And so I'll go to them and I'll learn from them, and then I'll relay their information. But yeah, I think.
How do you know when this is the better question. How do you know when you're not there? That's a tough one. Like when to hold them and know when to fold them. Like, is there a time when you should quit?
Quit what?
Like pursuing the dream or whatever your dream is. Like, is there a time where you should let it go? I struggle with that one.
Damn, that's a great question.
I think are some people meant for a cubicle?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that goes down to, would you agree everybody has a different definition of success? So if your definition of success is the white picket fence, the dog, and the marriage, pursue that. Like, I'm not telling you to pursue, like, for me, like, I want Lambos, I want the jet, I want massive impact, I want to travel the world. That's my version of success. But that's what I'm going to pursue. It makes me feel good pursuing that. And so I think it's really determining what your definition of success is. And there's been times where other people's picture of success kind of
is like a little side hustle.
Or it messes with mine, though. You know, like, or maybe I get off track and I'm like pursuing something that I'm like, why am I even pursuing this? Maybe I just got caught up in someone else's version of success. You know, so I think it's really defining what is your success. Some people like the certainty of their 9 to 5, their paycheck, and they go home and then they spend that time with their kids or they watch TV. Some people like that. If that's what you want, go ahead. You know, like I'm not telling you to do so. For the people that want more out of life, or the people that want, you know, to turn their hobby or their passion into monetization, then I think if you're the type of person that's hungry for that, then don't fold them.
I think
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. I think a safe way to put it is, if you're 3 to 5 years into your pursuit, I think that's the window, and you're not monetizing it or scaling it properly to a point where you're receiving fulfillment from that space or fulfillment in doing it for free, then you have to consider pivoting. Yeah. Whatever that pivot is. And maybe you're taking the wrong photography. Maybe you're doing the wrong vlogs or video work. Maybe you're pursuing the wrong avenue. But if you're not getting fulfilled, like there's a lot of people, like I grew up playing football, so there's a lot of football coaches, they don't do it for the money. They get fulfillment out of it. That fulfills them. So they get that out of it. But I think that's part of the problem, and we'll get into a deeper conversation about society. That's part of the problem today is we have a lot of jobs, first responders, other areas that they're not getting any. There's no fulfillment, which is dangerous, right? There's certainly not enough monetary, gain. Cops, first responders, very low paid, and there's just not enough there anymore to where people are like, I'm not going to deal with this. Yeah, I'm out. You know what I mean? And they're not letting those guys or gals have necessarily side hustles or anything that they can bridge to feel that fulfillment, because that's important too. So they're left kind of like, fuck do I want to deal with this for? I got some Karen coming up to me, barking out orders that I'm not wearing a mask the right way, or I'm not, peeing the right way, or I didn't do this the right way. I'm out. Yeah. And that's what I mean by walking, when to walk away, because I think that, you have to, in any profession and in anything, you have to have some level of fulfillment's almost more powerful than the monetary, especially in the beginning. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Because it's not going to be monetary in the beginning.
You'll get burnt, though, if there's no fulfillment, right? And I think that there's two forms of motivation, is push and pull. And so, push is like, how many times have we been pushing towards our goals or work and we get burnt out? But if you have something that pulls you, whether that's that vision, that those goals, the ambitions, that's something that drives you. Maybe it's like you want to take your kids to France on a vacation. Like, what's the thing that really pulls you? And also, for those that are working, like maybe that 9 to 5 or that cubicle, there's time afterwards to chip away at that side hustle. And then what you do is you chip away at that side hustle, and then you make enough money on your side hustle, you could take a day off. Or you don't work as many.
Buys you the freedom. It buys you a little bit of freedom.
You slowly cut back on that 9 to 5 because you're supplementing your income with your passion. And so if it's really that important to you, I think that you can work your 9 to 5, and then that the rest of the time is for you to kind of sculpt your hobby or your business, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I guess what we're getting at is, in a perfect world, you get complete fulfillment and monetization from the full-time, but it doesn't always work out that way. Most of the time, it's the part-time or the side thing that gives you the fulfillment. You got to do it for a little bit.
Yeah, you got to do it for a little bit to supplement that income.
It's fucking deep. This is deep. It really is. I feel like we miss so much other stuff. I mean...
Well, it's great because, usually I just, Nick, why are you born with no legs and one arm? Well, here's the story. So, it's great.
Yeah, but, I don't like talking about things that have been out there and you've already discussed and you've already put out there. I think, giving people a crash course on what motivates you, what drives you, what's got you to this point is more important and more empowering, because I feel like even in the last hour, we just gave people a free seminar that you would have charged for.
Yeah. And that's some sauce.
Yeah, just
secret sauce.
Some secret sauce. And I think that's what people need to take away from now. There might be people that listen that say, fuck you, John. I wanted to hear why he was born that way, or why, he doesn't hate God or whatever, But I think we know all the answers to those, not just because the information's out there, but because the reality is you can only operate in where you are, like we started this. And where we are today is the reality. Where are we right now? What's the situation right now, and how do we fix it going forward? You know, and I when I was a CEO in gun companies, I would say that constantly. What's the situation right now? I can't go back and fix X. What's the problem right now, this moment? Yeah. And that's, you know, very telling of where we are too as a society. It's, you know, what's the issue we're dealing with right now? Okay, so maybe it's COVID right now. Okay, so what's the problem? When I look at it, I see, Nick, a mortality rate that's very low. It's a glorified flu. I see, yes, people have passed away. Yes, it can be deadly to certain people, but I also see a widely politicized situation. Something like you said, the news uses as a fear tactic to drive X, Y, or Z, particularly in hot button areas, to create this chaos. And through the chaos, hopefully it stimulates fear, and the fear causes people to do something or vote or do whatever, hate each other or whatever. But, you know, is it scary for you in this situation right now that we're in? Do you feel like, do you worry about like it never getting back to normal?
But that's like no, that's a scarcity mindset.
Okay.
You know, like I'm not even focused on the problem. I'm focused on the solution. So, I mean, how many times with humans have we had a little problem and then we focus on it and we make that problem way bigger than what it is? I think we make our problems way bigger than what they are. I'm not saying this isn't a big problem, but I tend to focus on my solutions of like, what do I got to do? What do I got to do to take care of my family? What do I got to do to take care of my team? What do I got to do to still continuously impact people? How can I inspire people that, you know, this could be a time that's a great gift if you tend to focus it on that way. Also, it's a touchy time as like an influencer or whatever you want to call people.
Because of cancel culture.
Yeah, dude, or like, I don't know. I don't even get really time to talk about this, so let's do it. It's just like I posted video in the gym and like my mask is like on my chin and people are bitching at me. I'm like, I didn't mention anything about masks. I didn't really talk about anything on my story, anything. Or okay, let's talk about it because here I had someone message me and said, "Hey, I went through your profile. I saw you follow Trump. Fuck you. You're a scumbag. I looked up to you as a role model." I'm like, dude, I didn't do anything. I was like, I think we should follow the president of the United States just to see what's going on in the world. I don't care whether I believe in him, love him, whatever it may be. It's still the president, so I'm going to follow him. But that's the thing that we said in the beginning. People can't agree to disagree.
Structure conversation.
The biggest skill. If everyone could just listen. This sounds really like unicorns and fairy dust, but at the end of the day, humans, we're love and we're compassion. We're love, we're compassion, and we want to serve, but we haven't done that, and we have narratives that want to split us, divide us, make us want to kill each other, beat each other up, because then they have more control and leverage over us. And so if we can just literally just come together, oh, you don't like who I like? That's okay. You want to still go grab some food? You know, like, that's it. That's it. It would make it real simple. But no, like, people got to hate each other. They got to unfollow each other. And to be honest, maybe I didn't do my role as an influencer of, like, speaking up on, like, the masks and all this stupid shit. The only thing I really spoke up about is the human trafficking.
That's going to be big soon.
Yeah,
that's a different podcast.
Massive.
That's going to be big. That's going to be another one in a few months.
That's the thing, like, and it's sad that I have to say that because, like, it's not that I don't want to lose engagement and lose followers. I don't want to invest energy in meaningless conversations of people bitching at me over, like, whether I should wear my mask a certain way or whether I'm killing people because I'm in the gym working out. Like, I don't have the time or the energy to sit on social media and go, let's bitch at each other. Like, I don't have the time for it. So the only thing that I'm going to share is about the Save the Children, human trafficking. And if you want to give me shit for trying to save kids that don't have a voice, then, like, you're the type of person I don't want you to follow me anyway. So
I think the biggest thing.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think
it's a touchy subject.
No,
touchy
totally.
Shit.
I think the two biggest things, Nick, to piggyback on that is the gym thing. To me, is an easy solution. Like, I think what's going on in New Jersey with that gym and just jiu-jitsu gyms.
That's where all my family's from, New Jersey.
So I think the gym thing is simple. Sign a waiver. Hey, how about that? How about, I'm signing this waiver. I know I'm going to walk in the gym. Like, I have people will figure out who, but I have a very good friend who owns a jiu-jitsu gym that I train at and I go to, and the mask police, they're not even real police, they're mask police, that come in and they say, we didn't see anyone coming in with masks. It's a jiu-jitsu gym. We're about to grab each other and hug and roll around on the floor. Like, at the end of the day, right? Like, they sign a waiver. Like, you almost want to look at those people like
skydiving.
Are you fucking high? Like, are you serious right now? Like, we're signing up for this. And not only that, the people in that gym, most of them fight in the UFC. They're tested more than most of the general population all the time. Like, you want to look at the mask police like, are you even serious right now? Now, I'm in no way saying throw caution to the wind, masks are dumb. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm saying, like, let's inject a little common sense into this. And it's like you brought up with the president, whether you agree with him, disagree with him. At the end of the day, that's our president. That's who was elected in the last election. That's who won. And I understand that the guy created, there's this divisive environment that's been created in our society, and we can blame whatever side we want. I get it. But I'm going to tell the world something that they need to understand. And all these old politicians need to understand. Politics is evolving. And yes, Trump talks like a New York City taxi cab driver, okay? But we grew up in that. Boston, New York, New Jersey, that's the environment that's from. He's going to say what's on his mind. And let me tell Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who are 1,000 years old, that's coming in politics. Because sooner or later, it's been around in Britain for a long time. People just get up there and you see fights in the parliament, straight up fist fights in parliament. That's coming. Because and I understand there's decorum, right? And people want to see decorum. But at the end of the day, people are getting closer and closer to speaking their mind because social media and the speed and everything else is proliferating Information.
Is everywhere.
People are going to say what's on their mind, what they're thinking. And I'd rather live in a society where people say what they're thinking and what's on their mind than they bullshit around and piggyback and everything's in a back room and there's underground lizard people and there's people smuggling kids. Say what's on your mind. Dude, they're fucking pedophiles. Dude, this person's kidnapping kids. Like, get it out there.
Yeah. And
we'll be better off.
I agree, and I think there's just we're like that quote. We're drowning in information. We're drowning in information, struggling to find knowledge, or something like that. We're just overwhelmed with information, and that's the thing with like media is like they don't really have your best intent in mind, or they don't want you to think a certain way. So I try to just see people for where they're at when we're like people are bitching or whatever doing, and just kind of see where they're from, and they're probably like, well, they were probably fed the wrong information. I was fed the wrong information at one point, so I try to come from that compassionate standpoint. But yeah, at the end of the day, we just need to agree to disagree.
And I think everybody just has to be a little bit nicer.
Yeah, come to Vegas.
Try being nicer,
or don't come to Vegas.
I think everybody should come to Vegas at least once. I think if you don't, I think Vegas is one of those cities that, I mean, you moved here from the East Coast. I moved here from the East Coast. I mean, I was in Montana before this, but, I think Vegas is one of those areas, not necessarily everybody has to live in, but I think everybody should come here at some point. I think it's one of those destinations. It's kind of like Miami. You should do Miami once, no matter what.
Yeah, it's a lot of stimulation.
Yeah, but you should do Miami once. You should do Vegas once. And you should probably do Alaska once, which you're going to do.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be second time.
Yeah.
Alaska's amazing.
Second time.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone should at least do those areas once. I can't think of anywhere else that you should at least do once, a bare minimum, in the United States. Anyway, but I think where?
Oh, that's on my list. I haven't been there.
New Orleans. I could see New Orleans. NOLA. Yeah, during Mardi Gras though.
Atlantic City.
Yeah, during Mardi Gras.
Go to good old Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Atlantic City's like the armpit of the universe, right? It's like it's one of those areas that like I think time forgot too, though a little bit. I haven't been to Atlantic City in a minute. That's crazy. Is the casinos open there?
Yeah, they just have. They don't sell food or drinks.
Oh,
they just want you to gamble.
They just want you to gamble now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So listen, we've gone for an hour and 10 minutes.
I like it.
It's been amazing, dude.
Time flies when you're having fun.
We're gonna make me a promise though on air. We'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm in.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, this has been
a pinky promise.
Pinky promise. No, I'll take you up on it.
Let's do it.
I'm in. Let everybody know where they can find you, how they can reach you, and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So my OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. Got him. Yeah. So you can find me. I'm Nick Santonastasso. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Before it gets banned. And I understand my last name is really long, so if you type in Nick Santo, I'm the guy with no legs and one arm with a bunch of tattoos. And I don't think there's anyone else running around looking like that.
Is TikTok going to go away?
That's what it says, Saturday.
We'll see.
I have 2.1 million followers on TikTok.
I don't have that many. I had a couple good videos on there, but I don't give a shit if it goes away. Does anyone give a shit if it goes away?
No, because we just pivot again.
Yeah, it's just something else.
People ask me, "What do you do for a living?" I say, "Whatever it takes."
How much you making a month on OnlyFans?
Oh yeah. I think it's like 100K.
They take a steep percentage though. It's something like 10 or 15%.
I haven't dove into.
Oh, I'm looking into it. You're gonna start seeing me doing naked cartwheels on OnlyFans.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. This has been amazing. Listen, I appreciate you promising to do it again. I've had so much fun just rapping with you, and the time literally just flew the fuck by. You're a super inspirational dude. We'll put the links down below. Just rapping the way that we just did, just so much. I mean, this is what I'm going to go back and listen to for sure.
Awesome.
Because there's so much to take away. And, my house is always yours. Anytime you want to come down here, we go back a minute. It's not like we just, walked in and ran into each other. And I appreciate you and all that you do. And I think you're one of those guys that everybody should look at and say, if he can do it, I can do it. And I think that's what you want people to do, right? I think it's one of those, motivational and inspiring things to just, in everything that you do, you don't complain. You don't put out there that it bothers you or you're put out or whatever, which is so easy of a wormhole to fall down. And I don't want to go down another rabbit hole, but it's just what I see in you, what inspires me about you. You don't complain about any fucking thing. And I have another good friend like that, Crispy 11B, is another one who's like that. The motherfucker was burned alive in a tank, lost you never get a complaint out of him.
Yeah.
And I think that's so awesome. And I'm going to leave, and I'll probably be good for a week, and then I'll need another pep talk.
Yeah, we'll schedule another one.
It's the ongoing thing. So I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone for stopping in, and I can't thank you guys enough. I do want to thank the sponsors again. I want to thank Blackwater Ammunition, Rhino Metals for the tables, Gallo Technologies for the wall behind me, and, of course, Galco Leather. Leave a review everywhere podcasts are heard. I appreciate everybody who takes the time to leave reviews on iTunes and everywhere else. It means a lot. I'm looking forward to this, and the clips we cut out of this. This is going to be a lot of fun, and everybody who tunes in, Nick, thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you.